Hello there. Welcome to this video. Be honest, did I scare some of you? Did I get spooked? Were you spookified? Anyway, Halloween is right around the corner. Well, technically it is October because it's October 31st. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Today I want to talk about indie horror and where I think it's going. Throughout the past, feels like forever, in indie horror, we have had what I and many others tend to call twisted nostalgia, where it is basically taking something that is nostalgic and twisting it to make it something horrific. A perfect example is that this was popularized with Five Nights at Freddy's, and only continued to surge with games like Bendy and the Ink Machine, FNAF clones like Five Nights at Candy's. Sorry, I'm burpy. And of course, the most recent of these franchises now being Poppy's Playtime, which is about to head into its third chapter. But I think that we're also starting to see the future of twisted nostalgia starting to emerge. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Is because it seems like with games like, I believe it was, don't tell me, Happy Burger Meat Barn? What was it? I'm not even going to look it up. I think it was that. But anyway, Happy Burger's Meat Farm, in which you started working as a fast food employee. Where it starts out with you just going to work like normal. You get harassed by your boss, etc., etc. Well, not harassed. You get told off by your boss for basically everything you do. And then eventually you finally get to the point to where you start getting to the actual horror element of the giant mutated pig in the basement. But that's not all. Or rather, I think that that's where it is headed. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. And so, collect your thoughts, Austin, collect your thoughts. Process, load, initiate. And I think that this is exactly falls in line with twisted nostalgia. Because think about it. We all started out as kids, right? Our parents take us to these animatronics-esque places. We get horrified by how they look. We watch cartoons like Bendy. And then we start to grow up. And we get into videos, aka the analog horror we're starting to see. With our parents recording home videos and all that sort of stuff. And we slowly transition into our teen years, preteen and teen years, in which we get a job, we get our first jobs, or at least most people get their first jobs, at a fast food place. And so, I think that's where twisted nostalgia is going. Where now people are getting a little tired of revisiting their childhood nostalgia in horror, and now we're going to start to see them twisting their other form of nostalgia in their teen years a few years later in fast food places. And that is honestly where I think indie horror twisted nostalgia is gonna die. Cause now I get it. Horror games will probably never truly fall out of favor, but I think these twisted nostalgia horror games will. Because in order for any type of nostalgia-based game to be popular, it needs to have a lot of people who have the same common ground. Who a lot of people who can share in that nostalgia. A lot of people went to these animatronic places as kids. A lot of people watched cartoons. A lot of people, pretty much everyone, played with toys when they were younger. And then, beyond that, a lot of people then started working in fast food as a teenager. They would go on camping trips with their other teenage friends. And they would even go to school, which might be the future of indie horror, is just going to a high school and going through that hell. And then, what happens after that? After people graduate high school, there isn't really a common path that just everyone takes. Sure, you could do college, which a decent amount of people would be nostalgic for, but just as many, if not more people, go straight into the job field. Or, if they don't go straight into the job field, they go to college, but don't get the full experience because they drop out. And it just keeps going on with that, where after high school, there's a million different ways that someone's life can go, all depending on who they are, what they choose, and what they're going to do. And so while I definitely think that there might be some twisted horror, twisted nostalgia games that are going to be focusing on this new perspective of like, oh hey, let's do a horror based on a college environment. Oh hey, let's do a horror based on working your first office job. And all those sort of twisted nostalgia and all those sorts of nostalgic moments, I don't think any of them, or at least not many of them, will get as big as we've seen these other twisted nostalgia games getting. Because even Happy's Burger Barn, we're already starting to see this decline. It felt like FNAF was everywhere, and that's because almost every kid experienced some form of what FNAF offered. Poppy's Playtime is everywhere, because every kid plays with toys. And so a lot of people get nostalgic about toys. But when you start getting into jobs, that's when things start to differentiate. Sure, most people start out as a fast food place, which is why Happy's Burger Barn did still do pretty darn well, but at least from what I've seen, it hasn't reached the same popularity as FNAF did, as even Poppy's Playtime has. And Poppy's Playtime kind of came at a time where it seemed like a lot of people were starting to get sick and tired of the indie horror that focuses on the same type of thing of twisted nostalgia. What are you yelling about over there? She's trying to climb something she can't climb, and so she's yelling at me. Cats. What are you gonna do, right? But anyway, and so that's why I think that while we'll still see a decent amount of games, don't get me wrong, we are on the path of horror dying out. Well, maybe not dying out, but getting less popularized. Because just as you go on, there are going to be people who just don't have that nostalgia. And so I'll still see it as a cool horror game, and we'll definitely see where the inspiration comes from. I don't think as many people will immediately go, yes. You know what I mean? Whereas, like I just said, a lot of people are nostalgic for animatronic restaurants. They are nostalgic for cartoons. They are nostalgic for toys. And so, I just don't think you get that same level of nostalgia when you start entering the work field. Because like I said, there are a lot of people who their first jobs are working at fast food. But there are a lot of people who also get their first jobs working at a grocery store. There are a lot of people who get their first jobs, like me, who start jobs at places like hotels. There are some kids that start working under their parents in whatever company their parents work at that the parent is able to get them into. And so on and so forth. There's just tons of different ways that a teen could go when getting their first job in high school. And that's not even taking into account that some people's first jobs will be summer jobs, like working as a counselor at summer camp. And so there's just really no telling where everyone would have gone. And so while I think that we'll still see a lot of nostalgia for the more common types of jobs, like working in fast food, like potentially being camp counselor, like possibly just high school itself. But I think that we're going to start to see less and less people who are getting nostalgic for these nostalgia, especially as the nostalgia gets later in life, where people tend to vary a lot more in their experiences. Which is, college, getting your actual career started, all that sort of stuff. And even high school. A decent amount of kids just drop out of high school. And there are some countries that where high school is completely optional. Like, for example, Japan. In which, at least for many years, high school was their version of college. And most high school students are already expected to have started their full-time careers. And so it's going to be one of those things where I'm repeating myself at this point. And so that is why I think that twisted nostalgia and this version of indie horror is on the road to die. Don't get me wrong. I still think there are a lot of games that can be made. Like I said, there is a lot of teenage experiences that can be made into really crazy horror games. Like I said, working retail, working at fast food places, going on a camping trip, high school itself. There are a lot of places that this twisted nostalgia-esque horror could go. But I think that it's on the road out. That after we get done with that era, well, there will be attempts, and I'm sure that there will be a couple more popular games. I really think that it's also that at that point is going to be the time that it stops getting as popular, and horror creators are going to have to start looking elsewhere to get the same popularity that something like FNAF would have gotten back in the day. Because even FNAF now is kind of... And I think I'm just going to make this the Halloween special, so to speak. So let me know if you enjoyed it. Because I really like doing more... Because I really like being able to have a discussion like this. Speaking of, keep the discussion going. Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think I'm just absolutely off my rocker and that this type of twisted nostalgia horror isn't going anywhere? Or do you agree with me? Or do you have a different opinion entirely that I haven't even thought of? Please let me know down below. And while you're down there, be sure to leave a like. It really helps me know what videos do good, what videos I should probably avoid, etc. But ultimately, no matter what you do, please just stay awesome, and I will see you all next time. So this is going to be for the bonus footage, and maybe the thumbnail, I don't know. But I just wanted to call this out, because you may have seen this in the background throughout the video. And I didn't intentionally place it there, it's just kind of where it was when I started recording. But this is a scythe that I made when I was in high school. And I've tried to keep it in repair over the years. But initially I just did this with a block of foam that I kind of crappily cut out. And then, you know, I tried to make an edge of some sort. It didn't really. And then I hot glued it to just a metal rod. And then, and initially that held up, but then eventually the hot glue, where the foam was connecting to the hot glue, just kind of broke away from the rest of the foam. And so then I had to find something else that would work. And so that's why it's all like taped to hell now. There you can see like the head's all taped around and stuff. And then the shaft has tape wrapping all the way around it to try and keep it all stable. It's become a mess over the years. And obviously you can see where I painted it. The paint has come off a lot, especially if you look on something like this side. Well, actually, no, that side's actually pretty good. It's just kind of the edges that got off on that side. And this is just a general bloody scythe, because it was also around Halloween time. And at the time, I was really obsessed with the game Angels of Death, because it was like relatively shortly after I had gotten done with my playthrough on this channel, and I was just really obsessed with it, so I was trying to recreate Zack's scythe. And I mean, especially at the time, I didn't fail, but I didn't exactly succeed. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out, because that is, maybe we can have a twisted horror based on that. Who knows? Making things in high school that then come back to haunt you. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. This is just bonus footage. See you next time. Where are the red gloves? Where are the black and red gloves? Here they are. This is how we do it. I don't know why, but randomly I got High School Musical into my head. It gets hot in that Master Leaf Master. I just have really hot breath.